It was only a matter of time. The new Montage has been leaked. We're less than 2 months away from the release of the brand new Montage. It's been in the hands of sound designers, beta testers, and content creators for at least a couple months now. So the fact that it's taken this long to get pictures leaked of it is actually kind of surprising. Usually we get pictures or a manual or something leaked in advance, and this time it's pictures. We have pictures of the new Montage, and what we do know is that the new Montage, the name of it is not Montage Plus, it is the Montage X. So we have the Montage 6X, 7X, and 8X, and if you actually look at the logo, it says Montage M. 8X is the one in the photo, is an 88 key version. Does that mean extended? I don't know, but we'll have a look at the panel and see what we can glean from the pictures. The very first thing we see is a new screen up above the controllers. So where we have our tone EQ effects, ARP buttons up here, we just have a graph showing what each control does. Now we have a screen there, and then we have a button above each one that maybe allows us to mix and match the different parameters that we're adjusting in here. However, it's pretty clear that we have an LCD screen above those controls that shows the status of what the individual controls are doing. I also noticed that our master volume is no longer an easily bumped slider. Thank you, Yamaha. We now have a volume knob. On the existing Montage, the scene buttons are actually underneath the individual controls, leading you to think that these buttons actually have something to do with these controls when they don't. These are just for selecting and programming the scenes. On the new Montage, it appears those buttons have a new purpose, and it's not quite clear what that purpose is because the picture is just not clear enough. The scene buttons appeared to be moved over into this area here, and there's a group of them there where you can easily get to the different scenes. I'm not quite sure if I like that or not. I do kind of like having the scenes just in a line that you can easily get to. Of course, if we move the scene buttons into this area, the buttons that are here, these transport controls have to go somewhere else. And where they've moved them is over here underneath the rotary encoder, which means these cursor keys have gone. No more cursor keys, so they don't expect that you're going to be cursoring around on the screen. It's a touch screen. They want you to use it as a touch screen. I actually do use the cursor keys from time to time, so I might miss that. While editing this video, I realized that the bezel around the rotary encoder is actually buttons, and that is where the cursor keys have moved. So they've retained the cursor keys, they've just moved them from a set, in a diamond pattern to 4 buttons surrounding the rotary encoder. I guess that's a pretty good idea. It's all part of navigation, so you're either moving with your rotary encoder or moving around with those cursor key buttons. Also, just like the Phantom has encoders underneath the screen, and those encoders have lights that show what they do. On the Phantom, the encoders are both a rotary encoder and a switch. The new Montage also has a set of encoders. I don't know if they're push button switches, but it would make sense that they are. And underneath each of them has a little LED, which I suppose shows the state or whether it can be used or not. I know on the Phantom, if you are in a sound where the encoder doesn't have a purpose, it turns off, or they can change colors as well. A new button that's interesting is a DAW remote button that obviously is used to allow you to use your Montage as a controller so that you can perhaps use your sliders and knobs and so on to actually control soft synths in a DAW, which is a nice addition to the Montage capability. We have a simple FX button that gives you an overview of the effects in the current performance. And you also have an FX bypass button that lets you easily turn the FX on and off. That's great for performance versus studio. So if you're performing and you need the effects on the sounds you're working with, then you can have them on. If you're in the studio and the effects is being done by the DAW or by outboard effects, then you can very easily turn the effects off just by hitting that FX bypass button. This portion of the synthesizer is completely changed, whereas we have parts over here where piano, keyboard, organ, guitar, and you can select or do sound type searches by pressing those. Those are actually part of the category search, and those remain as primary category search buttons. However, all the other things like part select, part mute, motion sequence select ARP select, and then you can mute and solo those two independent parts here. All of that seems to be gone. The mute and solo buttons, which do double duty as a bank and page on this montage, don't seem to be there at all. Instead, we just have dedicated bank and page buttons. I'm not quite sure about that because this, for doing sound design or performance design, is really useful, and it's one of the main reasons I bought the Montage is because it has these extra buttons. I want 4/4 time, I can just do it right there. If I want to select one of the motion sequences, if I have different ARPs and I want to select a different ARP, I can do that just right here. It really gives you a lot of direct access for sound design, and it seems like they've just taken that all away and not replaced it with anything. So I'm not really sure why Yamaha has done that. The other place that's actually really useful is for FM design, because you can get to your elements and operators very quickly by using these buttons here. Again, it doesn't exist on the new Montage. Look at the texture of the black keys on the new Montage. It definitely has a texture on those keys. Whereas the original Montage has these very smooth, shiny keys, the new Montage has a texture much like the Moog 1, which actually I really didn't like on the Moog 1, so this is something I'm not thrilled about. I don't know why they think that you need texture on high-end key beds. This is something I'm definitely not in favor of, but of course that's personal preference. That's it. That's all the information we have from this leak, just basically looking at the panel and guessing what it is that we see from in those pictures. We have no images of the back panel, the connections. That would be nice to see. Also, we don't get a view of the pitch and mod wheels, or if there is a ribbon controller. It's not part of the picture that was leaked. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of these leaks in the near future. I'm hoping that we're going to see a manual soon like we did for the Modi X Plus. But in the meantime, this is all we've got. Leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about what you see? Did I miss anything, or is there anything in the panel that you saw that I missed? What do you hope for the new Montage? If you like what you saw here, click like, subscribe. It helps me out when you do that. Thanks for watching.